Hello there, my name is Mooseman, and today I'm here to inform you of whether you should play, wait, or avoid the parkour trials game, Energy Hook. As always, we'll be looking at gameplay, aesthetics, value, and future potential before making a final verdict on the early access version of Energy Hook. Energy Hook is a unique game that has a special history as to why it was made. Back in 2004, Spider-Man 2, what some people consider to be the best movie-based game in history, was created with intuitive web-slinging mechanics that allowed players to swing through the city with speed and ease that made them feel like more of a superhero than any Spider-Man game previous or since. While the web-slinging mechanics never came back to future Spider-Man games in the form that they were in Spider-Man 2, the developer who made it happen, Jamie Fristrom, went on a Kickstarter in 2013 to attempt to get a game funded that brought those mechanics back to a brand new game for PC. Energy Hook does just that. You play a girl who has access to an energy hook similar to a web spinner that allows you to fly and swing between buildings and through the air at massive speeds. With Energy Hook, your gameplay is based solely on your mastery of this mechanic to complete challenges and reach objectives. The challenges are all composed of the same two game types: tricks and races. In tricks mode, your objective is to gain the most points possible in the allotted time by performing a variety of tricks. The trick system in Energy Hook is a basic recreation of the trick system in the snowboarding game SSX. To do tricks, you will press a combination of buttons at the same time while also performing spins and flips to gain the most points. You can also gain points by using your Energy Hook to do tricks such as loop-de-loops and performing clean grabs without hitting any walls or other objects. Race mode sets up a course of rings throughout the city that you must go through as quickly as possible. These courses are designed specifically to allow skilled players to flow through the courses quickly, allowing you to put down incredible times if you are good at the game. In addition to races in the worlds, there is also a few VR challenge races, which are tracks that are on separate small worlds specifically designed for a single race event. These races are often more linear, but are a welcome additional challenge when looking for the most technical of the races. Of these two modes, race mode is far superior. The trick system in Energy Hook is rudimentary, and you feel as though the tricks you are doing is essentially the same task of ramping yourself as high as you can and then just mashing the trick buttons. This trick mode worked great in SSX because of the snowboard physics, but also because there were a few additional trick buttons in addition to grinds that made the system feel more advanced than it does in Energy Hook. Spider-Man 2's web system was pretty easy to learn, but lacked the depth that Energy Hook has with its more modern swing system. Instead of the hooks being automated upon pressing the hook button, a cone of green lasers will come up. Only if one of your lasers attaches onto something will your hook extend, forcing you to play carefully and smartly when attempting to jump in areas with only one or two objects to hook onto. The system allows you to perform even more precise tricks than you could in Spider-Man by clearly showing you what objectives you will latch onto. While the system results in more depth, it also creates its own problems. Because you will constantly have to be looking for new points to hook onto, the camera in Energy Hook is a bit hard to get used to. When you start on the ground, the camera will immediately point upwards, and while it's essential to do so in order to aim the hooks, it does feel like you're fighting the camera more than usual in this game. So the biggest question for this review is, do these mechanics all come together to create an experience that rivals the original game it was based on? And I have to say yes. Energy Hook's boosters and realistic environment-based grappling add depth to an already legendary swinging mechanic. The depth was something I was particularly looking for in Energy Hook because one of my main concerns upon hearing this game being built was the fact that it was being created based on an older secondary mechanic. While the web-slinging in Spider-Man 2 was great, the game was not entirely based around a single mechanic like Energy Hook is. There are two ways you can increase your height and momentum in Energy Hook outside of the actual swinging. The first is by jumping. The jump meter can be used at any time to increase your height. This is important because much of the challenge from Energy Hook comes from being able to reach tall places. While you only have a limited jump meter, each time you swing, your jump meter will be refilled, allowing you to gain height on each hook if you choose. In addition to the jump meter, you also have a boost meter. The boost meter does essentially the same thing as the jump meter, but instead pushes you forward instead of up. Unlike the jump meter, however, using it will not break your hook, allowing you to increase your swing momentum. This does mean that the boost meter does not recharge whenever you land a hook, but instead you'll have to do tricks or land for a significant period of time to recharge. While this isn't necessarily a criticism, the game does have quite a bit of a learning curve. Upon entering the first world, you'll know exactly what you want to do and how you want the hook to react, but it does take some practice to even swing properly between basic objects. When you start the game, you're put into a small area with a very short hook and a jump that only gets you a tiny bit of air. As you progress through the game, you unlock longer energy hooks and stronger jumps, but what I found was that this only delayed your understanding of the game. Until you reach the maximum rank and play around with it for a while, you are constantly having to adapt to longer and taller jumps and essentially guessing what your actual range will be. In a game where precision and flow is everything, the upgrade system seems to unintentionally and unnecessarily expand on the learning curve. I get that the game doesn't want you to start out with your full abilities that may be overwhelming for a new player, but I honestly felt more confused and stifled during the early game by constantly changing abilities. The aesthetics in Energy Hook are okay, but could be much better. The worlds you have access to are all unique in terms of layouts and types of things you can swing from. There are two actual cities, one dark and metal with tall skyscrapers, and another with cartoony buildings that's floating on water. There is also a construction site which acts as a tutorial stage, a small sandy island with mountains and a few towers, and my personal favorite, the Sky Islands, which are filled with huge floating islands with structures and rails built between them. While the worlds have a decent theme and overall look, it's hard to ignore the overall low-end graphics. The game is based on a game from 2004, and so maybe having graphics being at that quality was a stylistic choice, but I personally would have enjoyed swinging through the levels more if they were a bit prettier to look at. Besides the worlds looking a bit dated graphically, your character is also a bit dated with a face that only a mother could love and some clipping overall. One thing that I will give the game points for in terms of aesthetics is the sense of speed. While you are flying at terminal velocity, you can definitely feel the momentum increase and decrease when grappling between buildings. The sense of speed is actually one of the reasons I plan on coming back to Energy Hook continually. The game is fun to essentially just fly around in. If you want even more sense of speed, the game has a first-person mode and Oculus Rift support. While I don't personally own an Oculus Rift, I will say the first-person mode is incredibly hard to use. Your camera is locked to your character's head, resulting in there being a large amount of jolting around as you fly through the city. I don't recommend playing in first-person mode until you are completely finished with the game, and even then I wouldn't choose it over third-person. The game is priced at $18 normally, with an initial sale price of around $16. While the game in its current state only took me about 2 hours to beat, I spent quite a bit more time just swinging around the game, attempting to get higher ranks in the missions and just exploring in general. The swing mechanic in the game is good enough to provide a lot of replayability on its own, and if the two other zones being developed during early access end up being as expansive and unique as the other ones, I can definitely say that the game will be worth the price if you enjoy exploring. The game is currently in early access, but from looking at the Kickstarter and reading what the developer had to say about the early access goals, it doesn't seem like there's much left that will be added to the game outside of the 2 new levels. That being said, there are quite a few things I personally would like to see make it into Energy Hook to make the experience even better. First off, multiplayer. Nowhere in the Kickstarter nor the early access documentation is there any mention of multiplayer, and I feel like this is a hugely missed opportunity. While it's reasonable to assume that you would very rarely interact with other players due to you swinging around and moving constantly, being able to race friends or just seeing people fly through the map is something I definitely think could be a fun experience. The next thing that can improve the game is adding additional world challenges. While the number of VR challenge rooms is okay, the game feels a bit lacking in terms of the number of challenges available in the world themselves. I don't expect any more unique game types, while it would be nice. I just want some more flying through rings as fast as possible challenges to allow me to test my ability to the max. Energy Hook is not only a game based on nostalgia, it's a game based on further development of already great mechanics. The hooking mechanics found in Spider-Man have been improved upon and provide you with speedy, free-flowing parkour experience that I can guarantee that you will have fun with. While the game isn't particularly content-heavy, if you are looking for a game to spend some time swinging around and exploring in, then I recommend that you play Energy Hook. Thank you for watching my play, wait, or avoid review of Energy Hook. If you would like to buy the game, a link to the Steam store page is in the description below. And if you would like to see more of my content, subscribe and check out my channel where I do reviews, news, and other gaming commentary, such as my review of Gunheim, a twin-stick shooter with Vikings and big guns, or last week's episode of PC Gaming News Weekly. Unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond my control, there will be no episode of PC Gaming News Weekly this week.